Hi YouTube, this is a woodpecker sculpt that I did for my mother-in-law's 70th birthday. I've also done a little wren as a small commission. You can see that at the end of this video, but I'm just going to show you the steps through this woodpecker sculpt first. So I started with this branch cut from my tulip tree, and I sawed this little piece off the top of the branch, and the bottom of the branch was obviously a bit wider, so I sawed this piece out to be a base. Here are those two pieces together to show roughly what it's going to look like. Then I beveled all of the edges of these two parts using a belt sander. Next I drilled a hole through the base and up into the trunk, and I countersunk the big hole at the bottom as well. And this is what the two parts look like screwed together. Next I made a very rough woodpecker shape just out of aluminium wire twisted together. I've kept the legs longer than they need to be so they can go up into the trunk. After drilling two holes up into the trunk at the same thickness as the wire, you can see how the woodpecker slots into it. Next I used a two-part putty called Milliput, which you mix together and then it hardens at room temperature. It takes about 4 hours to harden rock solid, and I just got the main shape of the woodpecker in with this. Then I made a rough tail shape and also some rough wing shapes. These don't have to be perfect because I'm going to go in with a Dremel drill next to sand everything down and refine all the shapes. So the Dremel drill has lots of small attachments you can use that sand things down. So you can see here I've used it to thin down the tail and the wings and also the beak just to refine the shapes of it. And then I've also used it to kind of etch in the kind of feather shapes and all the lines and things to show up all the feathers. This is just it viewed from the other side, and then this is it viewed from the back. I then repositioned it back on the mini trunk. I then added the thin toes and the moss at the base of the trunk. For the painting stages, as in so many of my sculpts, I painted the whole woodpecker and the moss black to start with. I'm just using System 3 acrylics to paint this. So obviously I started with the black and then I moved on to white. So I did some areas opaque, really solid white, and some areas I watered down and just used a very fine brush to kind of texture in and give kind of feathery effect. I then added the patch of bright red on the back of his neck and also just underneath his tail. I then added some brighter green on the high points of the moss, and this kind of really lifts it and makes it look a bit more realistic. And I added a bit of grey onto his feet as well, just to bring those out a bit. Okay, and this is just a little video of the finished product, just to show you what it looked like. You can see the eyes, originally I was going to put little tiny glass beads in for the eyes, but actually just where I made a sort of hollow with the drill bit and then painted it black, actually it looks really effective and, you know, looks like eyes anyway, so I've left it how it is. I think actually putting beads in might have kind of ruined it. So I think it's quite kind of subtle, and I really like the effect of the kind of wooden branch. I think it will look nice sort of on display on the side somewhere. So I'm going to show you what the wren sculpt looked like that I did as well. I haven't got as much in the way of photos of it to show you the various stages, but I can show you what it looks like as a milliput kind of form and then what it looked like all painted up. The wren that I did was a lot smaller, very tiny little sculpt. I was very pleased with the outcomes of both of these. I'm not particularly into birds, I more prefer reptiles and amphibians and that kind of thing, but yeah, I really liked how these turned out. So this is the little wren. You can see I just put him on a little sawn bit of wood and he worked really nicely. It's got some really nice kind of patterns to him. And yeah, it was really good fun painting it. Again, just with a little tiny brush, and all the tiny little stripes and things like on his toes and the bands on the wings and things just worked really well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos of other sculpts and things. I do a lot of kind of 80s monsters, creatures from movies, that kind of thing. And yeah, why not have a go yourself? Hit subscribe to see more of my videos in the future.